You're watching the 2mics 2djs show. Tonight's guest is DJ Mike Gope. Here is your host, Dave.O.
Hey, it's Dave, and this is 2mics 2djs with my special guest, Mike Gope. Mike, how are you?
Thank you for having me.
It's great to see you, my friend. For those of you who don't know, Mike was a DJ on Staten Island at Park Villa Onstage in the mid-'80s. And if you were partying in Staten Island and you went to the Park Villa, you definitely heard Mike spinning tunes. So now that we finally got you all the way from Louisiana back to Staten Island, welcome back to the Rock.
Now I'm a country boy.
Country boy. Well, let's talk about how did you get started? Were you a kid that was always into music, like before you were a DJ, or was this like just something?
Yeah, I love music.
Yeah.
As a rocker, how I got into music, believe it or not, I saw Karen Carpenter on a Ed Sullivan show.
She was a badass drummer.
She was a badass drummer, and a lot of people don't know that she was a drummer. And I remember telling my father, I want to do that.
Cool.
And I hounded him until I got a drum set. Hounded my mother and my father, and that's how I started out as a drummer.
So how old are you about?
Oh, jeez. 12, 13.
Right on.
Yeah, and I wish I had that red sparkle Ludwig drum set right now.
I hear you.
Because it'd probably be worth $1 million.
I hear you.
Right.
So you got into drumming. Did you have any formal education? Were you like self-taught?
No. I was the kid, had a bunch of records, put the needle on the record. Kids today don't even know what a needle is, but you put the needle on the record, and that's how I learned how to play. And then I did inquire at Jimmy Feb, for those people that know Jimmy Feb on Forest Avenue. And I remember walking in there, telling him, well, I play the drums, and he tried to tell me, kid, you're not a drummer yet. You think you're a drummer, but because I knew how to play Smoke on the Water and Rock and Roll Night, I thought I was a drummer.
Well, it sucks when somebody pops your balloon like that, though.
Holding my sticks like I was gonna like they were clubs. Had no technique whatsoever.
Right on.
But that's.
But you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, that you do. You do have to start somewhere. Well, try to start somewhere.
Right on.
And then went into music was always a part of my life. Music probably saved my life. I mean, it's just because growing up, I didn't have a lot of friends, and then I was constantly listening to music, and then eventually, I got friends, but then, and then I was always a rocker.
You got some charisma. I could see people gravitating towards you.
So, or maybe I couldn't be bothered with people. I don't know what it was. But I was always into music. Music was the thing to do. So
through music, you found your tribe, your community, right?
Yeah.
That's how because that's how it was with me. I was an awkward teen, and all of a sudden, like when I started in high school, I played football. I wasn't even in a band, and I was playing in bands locally, like, in the neighborhood, but nothing serious. But once I got into rock and roll and got into the band scene, I mean, it changed my life forever. I think it saved my life, too.
We met through music.
Right.
And I remember the first time I was like, and now since we're here, I'm going to, how did you guys come up with the name Fallon?
That's a funny story.
Because I remember, and I don't mean to step on your lines there, but I remember, because we were all back in the day, Lust, all these other bands, putting them up on the
putting up flyers. See, back in the old days, after we had the clay tablets that we made our posters on, we would nail them to the telephone poles. And Staten Island used to be flooded with all the bands posters, right?
Right.
And it was always cool because you'd be like, I know those guys. I know those guys.
Where they playing?
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Well, the name Fallon actually was just dumb luck, because I was looking in a book for a name. We didn't have any clue what we wanted. I wanted something that didn't mean anything. Okay. And I found a word called phalanx with a PH, and I turned that into an F, and I said Fallon. And I said, okay, guys, what do you think of the name Fallon? They were like, okay, yeah, we could do that. It was kind of generic, didn't mean anything, didn't have any connotations, like Man-O-War. You hear Man-O-War,
right.
There's some kind of connotation going on there, There was no expectations. But a funny story. Do you know who Matt Fallon is? Matt Fallon, he's probably about your age because he was like half a generation older than me. He was a musician. He played with Skid Row. He played with Anthrax, and he had a band called the Matt Fallon Band. I knew him, and I ran into him like years after Fallon was already established. And he said, "You're the reason why I can't use Fallon as a name."
Oh, really?
In my band. Yeah. So
isn't that funny?
Yeah. So that was kind of a cool thing, and I was like, "Well, sorry, buddy," But, and he was like, "Who in the band's named Fallon?" I said, "Nobody." He goes, "How did you come?" Just dumb luck.
And that was his real name.
And that was his real name, and it's spelled the same way too, and he couldn't use it.
Yeah, that would get me mad too.
But it was one of those things because he was actually playing in bands, like before I was. Like I had Fallon, we were just local, but he was actually trying to really. And I remember he came into a store that I was working at. And he goes, "I got a question for you." But we're here to talk about you. So I'm gonna blow your ego up, man.
Okay.
So what was your favorite kind of music to play on drums, and then what were you also listening to, like guilty pleasure wise?
Well, drums, still to this day, I've always been a 2/4/4/4. I liked the whole AC/DC.
Right on.
Some of the drummers I love, local drummers that I love. Stu Sherman.
Oh, Stu's a great guy.
Joe Ganza.
Right on. Shout out to Joe.
Nicky Capozzi is in a.
Shout out to Nicky.
There's those are local drummers. I love drummers that are comfortable behind the drums. One of my favorite drummers is Robert Sweet from Striper.
Right on.
Yeah, he's that in the pocket, steady, bury the beater kind of thing. Keep the I love Rush. I know
all right.
People out there don't kill me. I love Rush. They're great songs. Just the drumming is too technical for me. Same thing, but so that's where I grew up. Grew up with or liked bands in general that I appreciate. And I love hair band, whether... And I hate when people call them hair bands.
Because we didn't call it that back in the day. They were glam,
I like
heavy
melodic rock bands.
Right on.
White Lion.
Great band.
White Lion, Zebra.
Great band.
Skid Row.
Another great band.
Stuff. I liked stuff with a melody. Believe it or not, a band that I really like, Firehouse.
They were great. I've seen them.
Now, I lived in Orlando.
Right on.
CJ was my neighbor.
Oh, fun.
But I never let him know because he was, I never let him know. He knew that I knew he was a musician. I never let him know that, never let him, that I knew who he was.
Right on.
Because he wasn't doing too well. He was he was getting sick. So
Sorry
he just wanted So he just wanted and it was just weird how the world puts you in touch with people.
It really does. I mean, and it's like the craziest coincidences. Because one of the things that we were talking about is like the last time I saw you, I was at a bar with a buddy of mine, and then you and Doug came in. I mean, just out of the clear blue, and we're like, hey, we hadn't seen each other in like years,
100 years.
And again, it's just like the universe is...
But I gotta go, you gotta
Yeah.
Oh, you want to catch up.
Yeah. So now we're catching up.
We're catching up.
Right on, man.
Which I appreciate it.
But
I appreciate you inviting me.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure, bro.
This show is amazing. It's going to bring a lot of people together. I wish you the best.
Thank you for that. And just so people know what's going on, I'm doing this. I'm not trying to really make money on this. I want to document my friends.
Which it wouldn't hurt to make some money.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't hurt. But but like I was saying to Mike, we lived in a very unique time in history, and especially in Staten Island, New York history, between the music and the club scene on the island, and it was just very different. And so again, Mike was a very big part of that. I mean, really, Onstage was a big deal. Like, to play there on Staten Island, that was one of the nicest stages on Staten Island to play.
Because you'd walk in, the club used to be a theater, or I believe a bowling alley at one point. I don't know the real history of it, or the history of it. But people would go in, and you can just go in with your gear.
Right.
The only the only band that brought in a stage set to go over our stage set was New York Fury.
Wow.
Yo, I was like, yo, and
Send a shout out to Gene.
yeah. So, but you could walk in there. You had the stage. You had the drum riser. Unless you had your own personal drum riser. You had the lighting. The lighting was geared towards the stage. Towards the stage. You had the curtain. You had a dressing room. I mean, you just you showed up. That's why Skid Row liked playing there a lot. Trickster liked playing there a lot. We had our bands. We didn't have L'Amour bands, but we had our share of.
Yeah, but
of
I saw a
heavy
bunch
hitters.
of great bands there. I mean,
Yeah.
that was one of the beautiful things especially about the time that you were spinning, is that there was such a rich musical scene on the island.
Right.
I mean, there was a bunch of small clubs where you could catch, your local bands, but there like the Paramount was open for a minute, and that was always everybody. Like that was the place to play when it was
yeah.
open. But after that, the St. George wasn't really They did one concert, which was the original Heavy Metal Headbangers Ball, and then after that they would close. So you guys really were like, you and Wave Street were really like the only two clubs
Right.
that bands could play. And
what I liked about Onstage was the Paramount was too big.
Yeah,
so
it's
you
huge.
really had to be a heavy hitter to generate some energy there. I mean, with Onstage, if you had a thousand people there, and we had probably over what we should have, or you had half of that, or even if you had 200, it still was.
it kind of hit a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Like
You
it was large enough to raise a little hell, but intimate enough that
Right.
it didn't hurt.
Right, where you exactly where it didn't. That's exactly it. That's you said it all in one. It was in and it was just a nice club, but it ran its time,
As all clubs do.
right? But Park Villa originally started out as a disco. I did find out they had the first mechanical bull.
Did they?
Yeah.
On Staten Island or in
on
the city?
in New York City.
Okay, that's
I
cool.
believe so. Maybe it could have been Staten Island. I don't know. I also heard through the grapevine that was the first place Madonna played when she came to New York.
Oh, cool.
So and Vince did the lighting. I believe it was pretty close to Studio 54.
I remember the lighting. It was pretty
He put
cool.
a lot of money into that club.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it when I came on board with when they turned it into a rock club, like L'Amour, like us. L'Amour was disco, we were disco. Disco's done.
Right.
But you still, I mean, I remember Vince telling me, he's like, yo, if I turn the heat on to this place, I get a $2,000 bill. Like you have to get people in there. Now all of a sudden, the flavor of the month is rock. And then it was a little bit more than rock because, and I was listening to your podcast and I loved the way Chuck said it. There are places, I think L'Amour East or L'Amour in Queens was a place to be seen, SCEN, and then there was the scene. Same thing here, Friday nights at Onstage. Guys would put on they go to Kiss Kiss Kill Kill.
I remember.
Silver City, buy their clothes.
Shout outs to Candy and Al.
Yeah, and buy their Friday best, and they wanted to be seen.
Right on.
Their hair looked as good as all the women's hair there. And
the Aquanet was in the air.
That's right. And I mean, guys putting on eyeliner, girls putting on eyeliner. Like they wanted to go there. They wanted to be seen, and they wanted to see a good band.
Right on.
So I had the greatest job in the world, just like Chuck. I was extremely underpaid, but at one point I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm getting money for just putting. But I wasn't a DJ like you. You worked at clubs where you had to keep the vibe, you had to keep the tempo moving.
Yeah, it was different format.
I wasn't a mix. I wasn't a BPM, beats per minute kind of guy. Even though I could do that, I don't like to do that. Same thing, I could play Rush. I don't like to play Rush.
Right on.
I like to spin. Okay, all right, everyone's into this new this new Queensryche song, or I like to see the reaction of people, but I keep referring back to Chuck. Is like, when you screw up when you put on a song and
the floor empties,
and then they look at you like, what the hell did you put this shit on for? It's like, and I'm like, I thought it was a good song. It's like, oops, okay. Mental note, never put that on again.
I've had a million of those, man. And it's like, but this is such a great song. How do you not like it?
But then, because if anybody that was at Onstage, I was up in like a bird's nest.
I was going to ask you about that, man. Bro, that DJ booth, I do not know how you got. Listen, you have to understand, when Mike was a DJ at Onstage, this was not a laptop and a hard drive with your MP3s. This was crates of records. How many crates of records did you have?
I probably would bring 5 a night.
Man, and you had to go. Now, I want you to describe it because you had to do this. How the hell did you get up into that DJ booth?
Oh man, it was just it was actually behind the stage, up, I would say 15 to 18 stairs, and then it ran along the side of the club to the middle of the club. So now the club's a theater.
Yeah.
So it probably was a good 40, 50 feet run. And people didn't realize, after I announced the band, I had to run over to the ropes and grab the ropes and pull up the curtain.
Oh, no shit.
And then kind of, I was never in Boy Scouts, but do like a Boy Scout to it, so it didn't fall back down. Because I had no one pulling, and we had no winch.
No kidding. That was old school.
So back in the day, I was this little guy with these
like Quasimodo, man, pulling on that
big gun arms, and That's
wild.
And I was only 100 pounds soaking wet, so I'm grabbing on my force, I'm pulling down. It's like people don't realize what's going on behind the scenes.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
that's hysterical. Because look, just humping in the records, okay?
Oh yeah.
Now, the clubs that I worked on, it was all mostly on the first floor. So you know, after 5 or 6 crates of records, you're sweating, and this is before you even spin the first song.
Right.
Now you having to go through half the club up and downstairs.
And I want to look as good as everybody that's
right,
freshly showered, that's walking in here at 9:30.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Man, okay, so that's gonna lead me into this because you started mentioning it. How did you program your nights? Like, okay, as a DJ, we all hear songs that we love. We go, I'm gonna play this, but if you're working an 8-hour shift and you were working between the bands mostly, right?
Right.
But also you were there before the bands and then after the bands.
We had to be there for load-in.
Right. So that's a long night. You know, how were you able to get your music straight in your head? Like, you know, or did you just say, screw it, whatever I play, I play?
I started that and thinking, oh, well, you know, it's, and all of a sudden it's like, and I had Vince kind of, hey man, you're the DJ. You make this. You're gonna make this route. You're making the night. I'm Mike Gope. I'm the DJ. Like people, and I'm believing this hype.
Right on.
So, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna play. Poison and this and Nelson and all these bands that I like. Well, it's not about what I like.
I hear you on that.
It's not. And then all of a sudden, the booking agent, which at the time was Joe Byrne and Jimmy Long, now all of a sudden...
Shout out to those two guys, for sure.
Well, Jimmy, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
And Joe Byrne, I haven't seen a million years, but they started... So that was the other thing, too. When the rock club started, they started, they came in, because they had the production from Armageddon.
I was just going to say, Joey sang in Armageddon for a long time.
They were probably the first band that I've ever seen. I worked for Armageddon.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I was Stewie Sherman's drum roadie. So yeah, people
I forgot that Stu played, because I always think of Stu and Lady Kadaaver.
Lady Kadaaver, another band.
Yeah, because Armageddon was like one of the first bands when I started playing that I would see them out on a regular basis.
Stewie wasn't even old enough.
That's funny.
To be in a bar.
That's
when
funny.
he was playing with Armageddon. People didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Yeah, but he looked older.
Yeah.
But he didn't look older. But he looked.
He looked like he fit in.
Right.
He looked like he belonged there.
Right. And amazing drummer. And
Yeah,
it's like,
phenomenal.
But, and it's so then I'm hanging out with him thinking he's my age. I mean, Stewie's probably 15 years younger than me.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know he was that young.
Yeah, so I
just thought he had a baby face.
He was in high school.
Wow.
So but he was an amazing drummer, and him and I just became really good friends, and
That's awesome.
And then I realized how I was an okay drummer when I sing, because I'm gonna put it that way. Stewie knew the drums.
Yeah, he did.
Right. And he was a lefty, which threw me for a loop. I'm like, how the hell are you playing that kit, man?
Well,
Like,
a funny story real quick is that Fallon, early on, we got to open up for Lady Kadaaver a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about that is our drummer was lefty too. And Stewie and Joe, they were like, this is the first time that I go to a gig and I don't have to mess with the set. Because normally the hi-hat's over here, they got to move, oops, sorry. And they move over here. And they both were able to use each other's kit. So, like, if Stewie didn't want to bring his kit, he knew that Joey's kit was just as good, and then he would just get right on him. So it was kind of cool, like, when we would play together, It was like, they're the only two left-handed drummers in Staten Island at the time, I think.
Well, there's two other drummers that I know of. There's Chip Raynone.
Okay.
He's a lefty, but plays opened. So he's playing a righty kit, but where a drummer would play crosshand, they play like that.
Oh, okay.
And Steve McNerney.
Very cool.
Yeah, Steve McNerney, another lefty drummer, plays open.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
And I was looking at him like, what are you doing, man? I was like, it was just very weird, but this is all stuff. I mean, music is
they get
what
it done.
It is. There's ways to properly learn music, and then if I think if Eddie Van Halen would have listened to a normal guitar teacher, he wouldn't be doing this. I mean, it's just...
And also, like, a guitar player, like, what was it, the blind kid, Jeff Healey was his name?
Yeah, Jeff Healey.
I mean, he played the guitar like a piano.
Angel Eyes, right. Mm-hmm.
It was just totally different, too.
Right, and then...
To make the music, though. That's the point. It's like,
Absolutely.
you do what you have to do to make the music.
Right. And who says it's bad?
Right on.
Right.
So, getting back to, like, the programming, what was the music that, like, 80s metal that caught your ear, but was there anything like on the fringes or stuff like, wow, I'm surprised more people don't listen to this or that?
Oh man, there's a bunch of bands that there's, and my music taste has become very eclectic, because I heard, and there's besides Staten Island bands, there's a lot of other bands that I don't understand why they weren't bigger than they were. I don't understand why White Lion wasn't astronomical. That White Lion should have been bigger. Danger should have been bigger. There's a band that a lot of people might not know, Shotgun Messiah.
I've heard of them.
I don't understand why they weren't. I don't know why Kix was not.
Kix is one of my all-time favorite bands.
I mean, I just don't get it. A band. Now we're going to talk.
Also, Twisted Sister. I mean, look,
Twisted
not for
Sister.
nothing.
They broke their ass to
and
get
they were
where
phenomenal, bro.
Right.
Listen, for anybody who thinks that I want to rock and we're not going to take it as the pinnacle is Twisted Sister, you missed out on their live shows back in the day.
Oh.
They were killer.
Oh yeah,
amazing what you could see in a club.
Right.
D. Snyder, number one front man, like he was my idol. Like the moment I saw him, I was like, I want to be like him.
Right.
I wanted that much energy on stage.
And I remember hearing through the grapevine, and I know A.J. Piero, God rest his soul. We all know him. I remember when he, I heard through friends of friends. It was like, yeah, A.J. Piero. And I remember A.J. Piero when he was Tony Piero in a band Pie.
I didn't know the band.
And the band was Pie, and they played Susan Wagner Battle of the Bands, and they opened up with Come Sail Away.
Wow.
And I'm looking and I'm going, excuse my language, holy shit. This band is amazing. I mean, you wouldn't even take on a song like that.
No.
Everybody else is doing AC/DC and Freebird, Zeppelin. You're playing, I mean...
Come Sail Away is not an easy song.
And they did it perfect.
Wow.
And they won the Battle of the Bands, but they were in a band called Pie, and they were amazing.
That is really cool.
And then I heard, it was like, through the grapevine, he's South Beach. I grew up in West Brighton rocks, North Shore. Don't own a gun. Well, actually I do, because I live in Louisiana now. But, it's just, so I thought I personally know royalty.
Right on.
AJ Piero. I was like, they're calling him AJ now? Okay. He's going to be in Twisted Sister? I'm like, wow.
That's amazing.
Right.
One of us,
right.
See,
someone made it.
See, and
someone got out of here. Got out of here.
Mike, you're old enough to remember the New York Dolls.
Oh, yeah.
David Johansen, right? Not a lot of people realize that Staten Island had an amazing, amazing musical history.
Oh, so much talent.
And like Earl Slick, he played with David Bowie. People don't realize. Tommy Price. I mean, these were guys, and again, these are older guys, but they all came from Staten Island.
Sultan.
Really, I mean, he's pretty fucking famous, Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Play with Meatloaf.
And
my sister-in-law Melissa used to hang out with them at Clove Lake Park.
And this is the thing that's killing me, that nobody talks about this. And that's why I want to document all this, because this is a story that should be told. Staten Island had a phenomenal music history. Right. And I believe it still has one, because I've been going to some of the clubs. I do believe that the type of music has changed, because that's normal. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, like, I know the kids today don't play in bands like we used to, but I do see them because they didn't grow up on the Beatles. They grew up on DJs. So the music is different.
Right.
But it's not for us. It's for them. Correct. The new music. So with that being said, anything to encourage music on Staten Island, I'm all for it.
Right.
Live entertainment, local bands, I'm all for it, because that's what keeps Staten Island interesting.
Right.
Yeah,
agreed.
I mean, that's how I feel about it. And, these stories would get lost if we didn't tell.
Yeah.
And your story is important, because you were in the middle of a lot of this. We were talking about Chuck K from Lemoore. He was in a lot of stuff, in the middle of a lot of stuff, historically speaking, and so were you.
Right.
Because the time that you were active, that can never be replicated.
No, we and everybody's gonna say, "Oh, I lived in the best time," and we lived musically. We lived in the best time.
It was,
and it's weird. It's not weird. I'm seeing now, because now I know that as I get older, I'm noticing people that are good for what they do. I went to Nashville not a while back when I was traveling with my old job, and I'm walking, and they had great bands. If you ever go to Nashville, you walk down Broadway, and everybody is good. And I'm not talking good. The next person is better than the next person.
Right.
And the bands that are playing in the club, because now all these country artists own, Blake Shelton owns a bar there, and all these bands are good. You got bands that are doing Journey songs better than Journey.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And then you got a guy in the front with his little bucket, and he's singing, and I'm thinking, why aren't you on American Idol? Then I'm thinking, it's like, well, American Idol is just, it's for some people, then he's probably making $2,000 a week,
a pretty penny, tax free.
So I get it. I was like, but
the hustle is real.
There's so much good talent out there, and then as we're talking about talent, we're going to bring, since we're going to talk about New York and mainly Staten Island, there are bands here that should have been bigger, should have been signed. And time again, and we would in our pre-production, we were talking a little bit about bands. There's a band that I'm gonna say through my heart, and I hope you get one of the band members, if you can find them, on your show. But there's a band called Lady Kadaaver.
Love those guys.
Lady Kadaaver was it. the music industry, when it was the music industry, they dropped the ball on that band.
I agree.
I don't know if anybody shopped them around. They were an amazing band.
I agree.
Right.
I was fortunate enough, because we were talking about this a little earlier, I was fortunate enough in my band Fallon to open up for Lady Kadaaver several times. And I don't know if Tony remembers, I'm going to have him on the show soon. But I got to sing with them one night at Wave Street. And Mike and I were just talking about that before. That was the only time I personally ever played at Wave Street. And then Billy, who was their singer, he was in the audience, and we brought him on stage. And it was like a big party. Like it was a lot of love in that room at the time. And I was very fortunate that I got to play with those guys because they were. I mean, Stu, great drummer. Tony Gunn, great guitar player.
I worked for Lady Kadaaver as
and
well.
Stan
Crab.
What a great bass player.
Right.
I mean, all those guys, they were on point.
Right.
They should have been huge. They should have been like Staten Island's version of Iron Maiden. To me, that's because Billy had such a great voice. He had a great stage presence.
God rest his soul.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But like one of the memories I know is when they brought him out on that casket and they playing Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
I mean, that was cool. Back in the day, that was cool for local stuff.
Right.
Now, I got to ask you, you said you work for Lady Kadaaver, so maybe you can answer whether this rumor is true or not. Again, early in my Fallon career, there was a rumor that Lady Kadaaver and another band had booked 2 clubs in Staten Island at the same night. And that what I heard was they were the opening act at one club, and they were the closing act at the other club, and the band that was at the other club was the opening act at that club, and then came and closed. And literally all the equipment was there, and they just set up, and I heard it was a phenomenal night all around. That was the legend of that.
There was something to that effect.
Because I remember we played with them at St. John's. Down by Bay Street.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
We did 2 gigs with them, and those were, I lived for those gigs,
Right.
But when I heard that, I was like, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like to book, and to collect all that money from both shows. I thought that was the cleverest thing. So I wanted to, if you don't know if it's true,
I don't know.
I'll have to ask Tony when I get him here.
Yeah, find out. But I think I do remember something to that effect.
But again, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
No.
Lady Kadaaver, what a great band! Like, I know Tony's got some of their music on YouTube.
Oh, man.
And Joe Ganza just did a cover of one of their songs on Facebook.
Another great drummer.
Yeah. So if you guys get a chance, look them up. Lady Kadaaver was, because it was them, Dreamer with Vito, right?
Dreamer with Vito.
And then also there was a band called Chemical Nightmare that was around.
Danny Johnson's band.
Was Danny in that band?
Danny was the bass player.
Well, Antoine, right?
Yeah, and Antoine Hopkins was a guitar
I didn't know
player.
Danny played with him, though.
Danny was a bass player.
That's so cool.
Right. And Marco Silva was the drummer.
I don't know Marco. That's so cool.
And I'm not sure who, but we could go down a bunch of guys that guitar wise. Vito Bratta, amazing guitar player. Steve Aronovich.
Steve, yeah, rest in peace for him.
Shane, great guitar player and a great singer.
Yeah.
Another band. There was a band that he was in with Rob Steele. Foreplay
and Law and Order.
Yeah, and Law and Order. Law and Order should have been bigger than they were. There's
great band. They really were.
And being a musician, same with me, you get frustrated. It's like, it's so now you, like today you're listening, it's like, or back in the kind of when we were I was getting out of it because, I had a real job. You got bands like Backstreet Boys, and they work, but,
they were more product.
Right. So...
They weren't a bunch of guys in the garage bashing it out for years.
It's like, right. It was like, practicing 6-7 hours. They probably were practicing, but, did they ever play in a shitty club? You went from... They took pictures, and then you're at the Garden, and there's 40,000 screaming girls screaming at you.
No, I get it.
And then you're in a limo. When I was in a limo, my parents died. My mom died.
Right.
I'm not making fun of it, but I was like, Did you ever? I mean, you know, and that, like I said, it's just it's frustrating, but then you got to respect it for what it is. Like now is all these big EDM parties.
Yep.
You know, and then that's the other thing too is like I was happy with getting 75 or hey, yo, kid, you did good tonight. Mike, you did good tonight. Here's 100. I got $100 tonight.
Right.
But I was happy because I drank for free. All my friends were there.
Right on.
And I got money.
It was like having a house party.
Right. But now you hear about, you know, DJs in Miami that are getting $40,000 to DJ a show.
And it's only
And
like
I'm
an
like,
hour's worth of work, which is all pre-programmed before they even get on stage.
I can't even fathom that.
Well, and to come back to the DJ thing, I think that happened in the 90s. Like, because grunge was a big thing with the rock scene, but EDM and hip-hop started coming out. And hip-hop became a global force unto itself. But the EDM, it was for those people that weren't super into hip-hop, but still wanted to go dancing. You know, that was the music that they listened to. Mm-hmm. And so that generation, so like the late 90s, 2000s, they didn't grow up with bands. They grew up with DJs.
Right.
And so that's why these festivals like Electric Daisy Festival are so huge. You know, it's because...
Thanks for telling me that because I had no idea what EDM meant.
Yeah, EDM, electronic dance music.
Okay.
So what that is just... that covers like back in the day we had freestyle and then we had club music. Right. It was like great music you would never hear on the radio, but it was great fucking music anyway, you know? And you'd always hear them in the clubs. That's what eventually morphed into EDM. And then from there, because like you had phenomenal clubs in Manhattan, like the Tunnel,
right,
Limelight did rock and roll on Sundays, but they did dance music other days of the week.
Danceteria.
You know, Danceteria, one of my favorite clubs, man. I love that club. You know,
what was the club that had the slide? Was that from like the second floor?
Oh my God!
Was that Club USA?
You know, I think it was.
Right. My favorite club, and I would go shout out to these guys. And Danny was in this. He was a bass player, Lust.
Oh, Lust!
I would
band.
Every Wednesday. It was me. I was like the fifth Lust member.
Right on.
I was like, yo, because I would work with them. I worked with a lot of bands, so I was thinking if I didn't want to be a musician, get on the money making part of it.
Right on.
You know the you know Doc McGee part of it.
Right on.
You know that and it's like yo, I'm gonna
get
make
involved in the business side of it.
Right, I'm gonna make some money some way, but it would be our staple would be. Cat Club.
I love the
Wednesday
Cat Club.
nights, 4:00 in the morning.
I got to spin there once with you talking about Kiss Kiss Kill Kill.
Uh-huh.
Mary did a fashion show at the Cat Club, and I got to DJ that.
We met. Yeah,
Great club.
I met Tommy Gunn.
I remember Tommy
who booked it. But you would go there, and there you wouldn't go. You would go there to be in the scene.
Yeah.
And be seen.
Right.
Because I'd go to the men's room and. I'm peeing next to Joey Ramone.
Right on.
And so it's and any band that was in town would make sure they were there.
Right. It was a cool place for sure, the Cat Club.
I mean, you know, we were there one night and the guys that were opening up for Kiss, Black and Blue. They were there.
Remember them?
And then another good band.
Yeah.
That I think should have been bigger. And then there was one night that I was sick, and I didn't go, and Queensryche's there.
Get out.
Yeah, it's like
that's cool.
And it's like but it's Cat Club, and then after Cat Club at 4:00 in the morning, Woe Hop.
Famous Woe Hop, man, yo.
Yeah, and see living in.
If you're not from New York, and you don't understand what Woe Hop is, you're missing out.
Yeah, and it's funny because. When I was in California, there was a celebrity and I forget who it was, but she had I didn't even know Woe Hop had shirts.
I didn't know that either.
And she had a Woe Hop shirt.
That's
on.
cool.
I said that has to be the one and only Woe Hop. I mean, there's I don't think there's another Woe Hop in the world. But yeah,
there's
and
1,000 Peking Delights, but only one Woe Hop.
Right. If you would walk into Woe Hop. You would not eat there.
No, It looks like a dingy fucking.
And it's
The
downstairs.
food is so good. Listen, I took my girlfriend there one
All right,
time.
let's go. No.
I took my girlfriend there, and she was like, "Where are you taking
I'm
me?"
not, right.
But I had to let her know.
If I don't get murdered walking down Mott Street, right, the food's got to kill me. And it's not. It's
No, it was great. It was great.
But again, that wraps into the New York scene, and you know, and the I know we're talking about Staten Island and the Lemoore scene.
It's all good.
And Lemoore's, you know, and that's a shout out to Chuck again. He kicked it off. He doesn't think he did, but he did, because I would go when I was a kid with like the White Lion song, "Kid of 1,000 Faces."
Right
I was a kid with 1,000 records.
Right on.
And that's how I got the job. And then I knew I kind of learned as I went. But then it's like, oh man, you know, you need a song to put on before the bands come on. You just can't announce them. And it's like, and and I would go to Lemoore and see bands, but study Chuck. And I'm like, and now I got to know him, and I'm like, he doesn't speak like that. You know, I was like, okay, I gotta project more, and I gotta be louder, and I gotta be more in the limelight, and I gotta be more present, and not just, you know. And I got what he said, because the bathrooms were downstairs, and people were like, hey, can you play? I gotta piss. I gotta go. I got, you know, right. Yeah, and I tried to find the longest rock song, which they weren't, and there was no way I'd be able to put a Queen song on.
Right on.
That wasn't happening.
No Green Grass and High Tides Forever, the 11-minute version?
Right, I was like, yeah, exactly.
See, at the Black Garter, I could get away with that.
Yeah.
Because I had the same problem, man. If I had to go to the bathroom, it wasn't going to be quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, Inagata Devita.
Right, you couldn't put that on. So.
Freebird, the live version,
Right.
you know, back to back, because sometimes you had to.
Right. So, but yeah, you had to keep the energy going.
Yeah.
I had to keep the energy going, but I had if I knew everybody, and the other thing too is that when I would not study, but I would look at how people would dress that night, you know, and then I had to make, because you'd have your programming, and then all of a sudden I don't see on the itinerary who's here, so I'm gonna play this, and I'm gonna play this, and I'm gonna play Motley Crue, and you know, whatever, Girls just came out, and I just went and got the record, and I had, so I'm gonna play the shit out of that, and then all of a sudden I turn around and Smegma is on.
I remember those guys.
Is on another great band,
yeah,
but not really there to listen to Motley Crue.
Not a Motley Crue crowd, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay, so now everything that I'm playing, so now I'm going through, now I got to go through, first of all, I didn't bring those kind of records.
Right.
So I was like, and I'm here because I can't leave, because I can't, I was in charge of opening up the club and and doing load-in, so I can't leave.
Yeah, you're responsible for the club.
Right. Because they're going to be behind the bar.
Yeah.
Drinking alcohol.
Straight out of the bottle.
Yeah. I was like,
we thought it was for free.
Not saying it would be them, but I was like, you know, you know, I mean, I'm sure every kid broke into parents' liquor cabinet.
When mom and dad aren't home, shit happens.
But, so.
Right on.
But, I mean, so then I just had to look for whatever songs, you know.
So when you were working as a DJ, did you belong to a record pool, or did you go like shopping? You know, because when I first started, I didn't even know what a record pool was. And then as I got into it, a friend of mine turned me on. I was like, oh my God, this is great, you know, because it saved me thousands of dollars, you know, and sent me music that I would never have.
I got into a record pool, but Vince was a good businessman. Like, if I walked up to him and said, look, and back then, if he gave me $40, I could buy a ton.
Right on.
Right now, you can't buy anything. But I was like, hey, I need to get this. I remember waiting and helping the lady because they put it on MTV, the Nelson song.
Right on.
And I'm like, I gotta get this song. I gotta get this album. And they're like, this band was so new that at Record Town they didn't even know who it was.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I was there at the Staten Island Mall, and she opened up a box. Oh, we just got a new box, and
there it
the
was.
record was there. She goes, "Oh, look at these girls." I was like, "That's them. I need that." I didn't care how much it was. And then it was so funny because WSOU came into play. They were getting mad because I was playing songs before they were getting them.
Wow.
So, and people were like, it's like, yeah, don't do that. And, it was like, but it wasn't bad, but it was, and then it was like, I'm kind of stealing their limelight to give them credit, but that's why I was very up on what was happening in the, Headbangers Ball stuff.
Right on.
The only thing I didn't have a lot of, and I didn't understand it, or it didn't appeal to me at the time, and was like the heavier thrash stuff.
Right,
and then Vince didn't like it, and Vince was very big on, he would have this code with me that if who came in, he would have someone clicking at the door, knowing how many people were coming in, and if it wasn't happening, they were walking out. Bay Street was right down the street, down a half a block away. So these people were leaving, not drinking his alcohol, not hanging out, and if the girls were walking out and going to a Red Spot or the Ferry Club or Choir Loft, and they weren't at his house.
Right.
And then I'd get the look.
And for those of you who don't realize, there was a time in Staten Island that most of Bay Street was all nightclubs and bars. You could just park your car and literally walk from place to place to place to place. So Vince's concerns were very real because people didn't have to get into a car to drive somewhere else. Right. They would literally leave your club and just walk someplace else.
Right. So we got and the bars. It was a very eclectic scene.
Yeah.
So what was happening at Red Spot was not happening at
right.
We had the club with the stage. So if you want to see a live band, but if that live band wasn't, if the vibe wasn't there, people picked right up on it.
Right.
We're out of here. See now Lemoore, if you were going there specifically for the venue that night.
Right, because once you parked your car, there wasn't any place to go, first of all.
Right.
So you were stuck there.
Right.
So you had to want to be there, no matter what.
Right. But you made a point to go there because you're dressing the part. That was the place to be. That's the plan. This is the party we're going to. But on Bay Street, you had the wave. You had
the competition was fierce.
And
it's a wonder. Honestly, it's a wonder that it lasted as long as it did because the competition really, really was that fierce.
Right.
And you guys were a bigger club, like Red Spot, as cool as it was not a truly big club until like the 90s when they opened up the backyard area and all that. Right. But you had, like you said, the Choir Loft, not a big place. Really, there wasn't a lot of places that you could go. The Paramount for a short amount of time, but that you could see in a nice area, in a nice space, a theater, a great band.
Right. Right.
Exactly. You guys had that.
Yeah. So we had that, but I didn't really, and then he started teaching me. He's like, you don't understand. It takes a lot of money just to open up this club, in the summertime, to turn on the AC, to cool it, to the electricity. It's like, so if we don't, and then as quick as it did, and I think all the clubs really, it seemed like we all closed down in that 1 week, and I didn't get fired.
Right.
God rest his soul, but if he called me tomorrow, I'd probably, hey, be at the club on Friday.
Right.
With my crate of records,
pick up where you left off.
I probably still have them. It's like, because no one ever told me. They were just like, yeah, we're done. Yeah.
It's funny because Steve Catone from the Red Spot, somebody asked him, why did you ever close the Red Spot? The Red Spot was so great, and his answer is very simple: you guys stopped coming.
Yeah.
And it's what happens. I mean, we grew as as a generation. Next thing you know, everybody's getting married. You got real jobs. You got kids now. Going out and partying on the weekends is not quite the same as it used to be.
Right.
And so, honestly, that's what ultimately happens to any scene. I mean, as people get older, their interests vary, and the clubs that they used to call home eventually disappear.
Yeah, that's one thing I liked about Onstage is that I know guys that would show up there by themselves.
Right on.
And when you got there, you came there alone, and you knew 50 people that were your friends. So
I was one of those guys that would go by myself.
It was like the rock and roll cheers.
Yeah.
Like everyone knew your name.
Yeah.
And then when you showed up, they were happy to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what I always liked about Onstage because, again, it was a bigger club.
You didn't feel uncomfortable going
and it
there
wasn't
by
a
yourself.
cold atmosphere as far as like people not being cool.
Right.
Like you said, everybody was happy to see you.
Right.
That was beautiful.
Oh, shit,
it's a big club.
Dave's here.
Right on.
So it was like, and that's what I liked about it. And the bands always enjoyed playing there. So I mean, and then we, like I said, I consider myself very lucky because I made really good friends with bands that played there that weren't nobodies, but good bands, but became somebodies.
Right on.
Like the Skid Rows and the Danger guys and Trickster and
all great guys,
right,
all great bands.
Right, all great bands, and I keep in touch with them. Now we're older, and God bless them, they're still doing, like Ted's still doing the from Danger, he's doing the Monsters of Rock thing, and Ted was the original drummer for Prophet.
I was told that. I think Chuck is who mentioned that to me. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Like, Ted was one of those guys that I always knew his name, knew who he was, but when I used to go see Prophet, and there was a time they were playing at the Rock Palace all the time, I did not realize that was Ted on the drums.
Yeah. Ted played drums for Prophet, and I remember having a conversation with him, and he says, I'm going to join this band, Danger, and I'm like, you're out of your mind.
They were a good band. They were a really good band.
Right. And they're another band that just they got on, another band that caught it. I think they were on the caboose part of the train.
Right on.
Taiketo.
Yeah, those guys were really good too.
Right.
I mean, they were definitely an up and coming band for sure.
Right. I mean, Taiketo should have been.
They had the looks.
Bigger.
They had the music.
Another guy that I'm still good friends with, and we probably all know, that went on to be in Lynch Mob. Anthony Esposito. He worked at Onstage at Park Villa. He used to do sound there.
Anthony used to play bass in a band with me when he was still in high school.
Jeez, see, and still good to the bone, just a
sweet
all
guy.
around good guy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And shout out to Anthony.
And I talk to people now, and it seems like I'm name dropping. It's like, no, these are my friends that made it, that I'm happy for.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind me winning Lotto, but if you won Lotto, I just want the bragging rights.
Right
my good friend Dave, he won Lotto.
You're sharing the happiness.
But yeah, I mean, I'm truly happy, and I was like, and when someone gets it, it's like, and then I knew Anthony played bass.
He was a real good bass player
and then I'm like, yeah.
I mean, even as a kid, because he was
telling me,
still at high school when he was playing for us.
George Lynch is making his own band. I'm gonna try out for them. I'm like, what?
And that album that first two albums phenomenal.
I'm like, how does that happen? I was this naive kid, like, I mean, all the stuff that I'm hearing because I'm addicted to your podcast, so I'm honored to be on this show right now.
Oh, my pleasure, bro.
But I never knew that Shane was that close to being in Kiss.
Yeah.
Like, if he would have just kept, he's a great singer, probably if he would have kept his mouth shut and not sang, because, I mean, the most two territorial people in the world are Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. I mean, so...
And it's a lot of people really don't realize that he is a phenomenal guitar player. Like, he's been singing for a long time, especially since Law and Order, but he really cut his teeth in Playmate as a guitar player, you know, and he's been doing great ever since, you know. I guess a lot of props go out to him, man.
Yeah.
He's a hardworking dude, writes great music.
Right, the stuff
he deserves
that he's coming out with now is amazing.
Yeah, he really
You know,
deserves the credit,
right.
man. He works hard for his.
And then we go with the original bands like the Lady Kadaavers and all these other bands. We had amazing copy bands on Staten Island, cover bands, whatever you want to call them. White Tiger. I remember seeing White Tiger. Probably the loudest band I've ever seen.
I never got to see them live.
I seen them, and Danny Muro during sound check, I went in there with someone, and I'm looking at him, and then we went back that night to go see him, and I'm like, holy shit, this band, and they were loud, and they sounded good. They weren't
right.
Manowar loud.
Right.
Because Manowar was the loudest band
Holy
I've ever
shit,
seen.
yeah.
Like,
but White Tiger, see, as a kid, again, the couple of years that you're older than me, I remember hearing about White Tiger all the time on PLJ.
Right.
They would do the concert.
You and Neil had this thing. Well, Neil, the lead singer from White Tiger, had the whole, and my favorite band that I turned a million, my favorite band's Angel.
Oh, right on. They're great band.
So he had that Punky Meadows.
Right.
Kind of like the hair you had when you were younger.
The wings. That was the look, the wings.
I remember I remember seeing Fallon. I'm like, oh, this band's good. Look at the singer. Before I didn't even knew who you are. And that's what we judged. It was like, I don't care how he sings. Look at him. He looks great. Yeah.
I tried.
You know, it was like,
that's fun.
But it was like, I mean, that's what we looked at. It's like, you know, because with bands, it's like, yeah, I know they're good, but how they look.
That was a time where the looks were important.
Right.
Because in the 90s, when grunge came out, looks were not, the opposite became, you know, the uglier you were, kind of, like, that was what, you know. But, and thank you again for the compliment, because that's something I hadn't thought about, you know. But all these great bands that came out, like, they definitely, as a DJ, influenced what I was listening to, you know what I'm saying? But there was also music that I had to find out on my own, and I was wondering if you had any of that, like was there any kind of bands or something that you really struggled to find their stuff? Like you were like, I heard these guys are great, I gotta find something. And I'm gonna use Mother Love Bone. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
When Mother Love Bone first came out, I read about them in Aquarian magazine, and I was like, I gotta find these guys, man. And then I got that first Apple album, and they were phenomenal. And next thing I know, Andrew Wood is dead, and the band fell apart.
Yeah.
But Apple was one of those albums that I had to really struggle to find. Mm-hmm. And then when I found it, I was like, wow, these guys are great. And then the tragedy.
There was a Staten Island band that I heard, and it was two guys that would used to sing at like Caners. There was it was D and John Jarrett. And they were in a band called the Billies. Okay. And they came out with a band that they just had that. And I remember trying to struggle or trying to find their band album, and it came out of. I don't know how I got my hands on it, but someone either gave it to me and I got it, and I played the crap out of that, but. No, and then there was another band from Staten Island called The Article. I don't know if you remember them.
No.
And they were kind of, when we were going into our Duran-ish kind of another band. And how I got that album, it was they must have played Onstage, and it was just laying there.
No kidding.
So yeah, I took it.
Right on.
I took you out. I was like,
hey, as a DJ, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, man. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
That's
but
it.
Any other bands? Oh, and I remember, and we couldn't. I remember working with Bobby Johnson at Lemoore, and Bobby said, "Hey man, Chuck's got the new." White Lion album. The White Lion album is done, and he plays for all the Fallen Men for me.
Wow.
And I'm like, they are gonna be effing huge. I heard that, and I was like, Bobby, man, we got him. No, Chuck's gonna come here, and so we snuck into a DJ booth, and he played it, and I begged him to try to get me to make a copy, and he wouldn't. And it's like, I guess you want to keep everything, but I heard that song, and I'm like, Spans, there, that's it. Vito and Nicky Capozzi. A lot of people don't realize Nicky Capozzi did that album.
That's right.
Nicky Capozzi was the original drummer for White Lion.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, and then they got Greg Lomenzo. That's like also, I believe, Felix Robinson from Angel was in White Lion.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then there was another bass player after Felix or before Felix. I'm not sure, but yeah, I know Nicky Capozzi was the original.
Very
and
cool.
I just remember there was one time, and I don't know, because Nicky's a class act. I remember he walked into Onstage, and I played a White Line song, and I don't know if it got him mad.
Oh.
I mean, and I said, yeah, that's not cool, because I don't know,
Right. The relationship, how it left off.
Yeah, it was like, I just, it was like, it's
Listen,
like, it's like.
But it came from the heart, though.
Yeah.
You were trying to do the right thing. You weren't trying to be insulting.
Because I was happy, but it wasn't.
You were a fan.
It wasn't. I'm a fan. And then it's weird because I was friends with Nicky. Because I'm friends with all the guys from Storm.
Right on.
So, but another great band. So I mean, we have such talent on here. I mean, there's a gentleman, like people that don't even play out anymore that are still great guitar. I mean, Lane Thompson, good friend of mine.
Mike
Lane,
such a sweet guy. Mike, another sweet guy.
Yeah, I mean, all these people that we see on that they're just, it's, if we could get it all together, I heard, or I just seen on Facebook, Ronnie Angel is bringing back Cities.
Yes. My buddy Pete's playing bass for him.
Oh, really? Okay. So, see, I didn't. So there's.
Yeah.
That's how we're such a small knit of people.
And that's why this is important to me, because exactly that reason, we are a small community.
Right.
And as we're getting older, I mean, look, we lost Steve. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He passed away. We lost AJ. As we lose these people, those stories disappear.
Right.
And so it's kind of up to people like you and me who. We were not the main protagonists, but we were part of the story too.
Right.
For us to bring that out and let people know. Because, I mean, honestly, as a DJ, I remember the first two times. I remember riding with Chuck K in the car, and he was telling me about working at Lemoore, and how he only had to work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think it was or Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It was only 3 days a week that he was working. Yeah. And then he was making a decent living. He was underpaid, as you know, at the time everybody was.
Yeah.
But I remember saying to myself, and I was still singing at the time, I was like, wow, that would not be such a bad gig for me if I don't make it as a singer. I wouldn't mind being a DJ. And then the second time it hit me was actually at the Black Garter. I was as a customer. And I'm listening to the music, and I'm saying, I have all these records. I could do this. Yeah. I could do this. At the College of Staten Island, I had a rudimentary understanding of how to cue up records using a slip mat. You know what I'm saying? Because they had the belt drive turntables.
Right. Uh-huh.
So, and you had to, kind of help those records along a little bit. But, I didn't have the 1200s at the time. Mm. But neither did the Black Garter. So that was like, I have these records. I know how to cue up a record. I know how to work a mixer. Like, I had the general knowledge.
Right.
And then my buddy Nicky, who was living downstairs from me, because at one time I lived across from the Garter, and I wasn't DJing at the time, but Nicky was DJing at the Garter, and he became a mentor towards me, and he shared his record collection with me, because I brought my record collection, and I had a lot of stuff he didn't have. Mm-hmm. And he had, because he was older than me, he had a lot of stuff I didn't have. Yeah. So together, our collection was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we got to play great music at the Garter. And because it was an only rock and roll club, that was different. Because that was the only club. I got to work at the Fast Lane in Asbury Park, and that was a rock and roll club. Yeah, for a short amount of time. But I liked the Garter because it was all rock and roll, because that was what I was most familiar with. Once I started outside of, because I started DJing in Jersey, I was required to learn all sorts of new stuff like freestyle and club music, which we were talking about earlier. and I was not familiar with it other than kind of what I had kind of heard on the radio. You know, so there was a big learning curve for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that record pool I was mentioned, that brought me all that music without having to go hunting for it at the store. You know,
Right.
like 90% of what I was playing came from that record pool. And I was grateful to have it because I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, because I had plenty of girls that didn't want to hear Led Zeppelin.
Right.
I had Brazilian girls that did not want to hear any of the stuff that I was playing at the Garter.
Right.
And I was struggling as a DJ, you know, because you were talking about playing a song and all of a sudden the crowd changes. I've done that way many times, you know.
Right.
It's like a musical train wreck, you know,
Right.
like
Right.
all of a sudden everything stops and everybody's looking at you and
Right,
you're scrambling.
Right, you're like,
Get that next record, I'll get that
right,
record. What?
Exactly. What are you gonna do? Stop the record? Stop
No.
the song mid?
Yo,
Yeah,
you gotta
it's
let
like,
it play out, cue it
yeah,
out,
it's like-
fade it out a little early.
Right.
But what am I gonna play now to recover?
Right, now
That's the
now I
panic.
gotta play a song to kick some ass.
Right, and that's where the programming
Right.
comes in, because if you kind of know what you're going to play in during the course of the night, that helps. But when you have that panic, like, and you're on the spot, man, that's tough.
Right. Yeah. Because now you gotta regroup and you can't be frazzled.
Right, your thought process is not working.
Right.
You've got to change everything right now.
Yeah.
That's tough as a DJ.
And then also the same thing where you had to call, I'm sure, girls up on the stage
Oh, yeah.
or whatever and do it and make it seem like,
yeah, there was a lot of mic work
I
involved.
haven't seen this woman 40,000 times already and make it seem
and sound fresh.
right and sound fresh, and that's the same thing too. It's like, I get little notes passed up to me. It's like you make the announcements of who's playing, so it's it's the same thing. It's like now I got to figure out how to put what song to put this over, and the other good thing is that if I had the band's demo tape and it was a good one,
Right.
I could actually kind of
Play it.
like try, and I started listening to taking notice of commercials on like when Twisted Sister would put their song in the background, and tonight at Hammerheads, and it's like, and do little commercials there, and what really threw me for a loop is when we went live for the WSOU benefits. Because now all of a sudden I got a producer there, and it's like, you can't say this and you can't say that,
Oh,
and
wow.
you can't say the color yellow, and and you gotta you gotta watch what you're saying. You mellow out with the F-bombs, even though we got you on a delay. And I'm
Right.
like,
It's a whole level of stress that you don't need.
yeah, it's you gotta say something because we're live. You gotta let them know we're live, and you gotta say it a lot. Because where Vince is paying a lot of money to do a live show there, but we need all those people from Jersey that go to SOU. We need them here.
Right.
And I was like, the pressure was just, and it's like when Bobby Johnson came in after Joe Byrne and Jimmy. Or Jimmy might have still been there. I don't know but I know they went through a transition, and Bobby Johnson started being the stage manager and running the club. And then he had a lot of input with WSOU. Oh yeah, we're gonna do a live show. I was like, oh God, and it's gonna be a fundraiser, and it's gonna be live, and Richie Saccoletti from he was the bass player for Storm. And I'm seeing all this. I mean, this is like big time stuff. I mean, all right. And then I got some. Okay. Oh, you're gonna be G. Okay, I need to talk to you, and you better write this down. And I'm like, I can't. And okay, get a drink. And I was like, so, and I didn't. I needed my shot of Jägermeister, my beer to kind of loosen up there, but now.
Yeah.
I can't be too loose because now I have rules, and I never had rules before.
I hear you.
And it was just weird. And then I was saying about copying, not really copying Chuck, but doing what he was doing. Is like, okay, now my voice gotta get a little louder, and I gotta be more present and more here. And I need and I went through a million songs to put on, and originally I wanted welcome, what you don't know sure can hurt you. That's the song I
that's a
wanted,
great song.
but I'm like, I can't. People are gonna, that's twisted, And I wanted something like that, or like a Cheap Trick, but that doesn't work. And I went through any song that had some kind of, Welcome to the Grand Illusion and The Show Must Go On by Three Dog Night, and then
Great
all of a
song.
sudden it's like, I'm looking like, Queen didn't have their Show Must Go On, but I need something to get people to the stage, because as soon as Chuck played that Van Halen song,
Right.
you could be at the bar,
You knew
boom,
it was happening.
Chuck turned it on, he's got your attention now.
Yup.
He's got 300, 400 people walking to the stage. So now the band's not coming out, and they're coming out, and they're coming out full force because they have 100 people, whatever. All the people that were at the bar are now looking to the stage.
I hear you.
So, and I noticed that when my go-to song that was Hello Hooray by Alice Cooper.
That's a great song. See,
And-
go ahead.
And then people would tell me, because we had the entertainment center, and people would be playing, video games, and we had the pool table.
Right.
And people would tell me, as soon as they heard that song, man, we gotta go. The band's getting ready to go on.
See,
And
as I was going to say, it's funny that you picked up on that, because that was something I picked up. See, I stole Chuck's whole thing. When I became a strip club DJ, all my mic work was Chuck K.
Mm-hmm.
I just copied what he did.
Yeah, and
with a little bit of Dee Snider.
yeah,
Because there were times that I needed to be on the stage, so that was the Dee Snider part, get the crowd rowdy, giving out T-shirts, whatever the hell we were doing, shots or whatever. And then as far as like my DJ style, well, I didn't really have one. It was kind of like a jukebox, because each entertainer had her own kind of music. And I would go from rock to hip-hop to club music to reggae I never knew from night to night what I was going to play, because I didn't know who I was going to be working with.
but I was gonna say, did the girls let you know what
Yeah,
they liked?
a lot of them brought their own music too, which was great, because when I first started in the business, girls would actually put on like a 15-minute show. Like, dude looks like a lady, so the girl would come out dressed with a suit, with her, and then she would put on dude looks like a lady, maybe Ragdoll, and maybe Joe Cocker, you could leave your hat on, and that would be her set. And by the time the third song came on, she'd be out of her costume and entertaining the crowd, as it were. So that was the fun thing about working in the adult clubs. When I worked at the Fast Lane, I struggled, because now it was all me. And so you were doing that on a regular basis,
Right.
Like with me, it was always helpful, because I could always say, hey, girls, what do you want to hear? What for your set? And so I could program my music that way. But with you, it was totally like inspiration from Jesus, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd have to feel out the people.
Yeah.
And when you saying you go up to girls and say, hey, what do you want to hear? That got me in trouble a lot.
Right, well, I
Because
bet.
now all of a sudden I got someone bring me a shot and a beer. Okay, now I owe him.
Right.
Oh, dude, you said you were gonna, come on, I bought you a shot, I bought you a beer. You said you were gonna, you were gonna play, and people, because they knew I had the album, but they'd play the most unplayable song. I was like,
I hear you.
I don't know, I can't fit in Queensryche NM 156, that electronic. Lost control. It's not gonna work. It's after.
Right, because you got to figure out. That's the thing. You just don't play the song.
Right, I can't.
You kind of figure out where and when. That's the programming part, know. And for every DJ, it's always different.
Right.
So that's what I always like to learn. Like, what was your process when you were doing that?
Yeah. I would have to kind of feel like when any musician, I'm having a good night, I'm having a bad night, or I'm feeling like this. There's a lot of times I'd like to play around where I would do, there's a Bon Jovi song that has, it might be, I forget what it is, but it has a keyboard intro, and I would love to mix it up, like do the keyboard intro.
Was
and
it Let It Rock?
Let It Rock.
That's a great song.
And then everybody would get right, they would do that kind of big crescendo, and then
Yeah.
ba-da, and right before that, I blast them with like For All the Fallen Men.
Oh, fun.
You know, just to cut it off, and everybody's expecting that, and I get the looks, and then everybody's like,
This'll
I
work.
get the thumbs.
Right on.
I was like, yo.
That's fun.
The one thing that I thought was amazing too is because working at Onstage is that the place was a disco, so Vince was all about the sound of
Nice.
the bass, the sound. You had to feel it.
A lot of club owners don't give a shit.
They just make it loud.
Right.
No, he was about the sound. Like I had to go in, I had to make sure that the mids were working and the basses were working.
You know, that's really cool because a lot of club owners don't stay on top of their equipment.
Oh yeah, and Vince would let me know what's wrong. I was like,
that's cool.
I was like, yeah, and my turntables were old style, on the pallets with the rubber bands, and so if they got hit or someone ran, and you wouldn't believe how many times people would walk and run, and no skipping, no. I just had one guy one time, and that's when Vince turned around and said, "No one in the DJ booth anymore." It was like, because he came in and he had a drink for me and a drink for him, and he puts his drink right on the record turntable. And it's going, and all of a sudden you hear,
and loud too.
Loud, yeah. I was like, yeah, then I had 400 people look up at me, so that was my one major faux pas. I had a couple. In my, we all have our, I had a faux pas. I'm not gonna mention the names, but there was a band kind of breakup rivalry, and they replaced the band with someone else, and I got talked into, not thinking about it, to say something bad about the person that they threw out, and then the person that they threw out found me at the club because they were at the club, and I was like, you know what? I didn't even think about it. It's like, I was just
in the moment.
I was in the moment. I was like, yeah. I was like, and it shouldn't have happened, but it did. It's and I apologize, and it's just me being stupid, but young, and I was young, and then at one point I was getting. Because I'm getting invited to be on SOU, and I'm driving around in a bitchin', Firebird, and it's parked in front of the club, and I'm a big fish in a small pond, and I'm like, and I'm walking in, and I have my own guest list, and and it's, oh yeah, you want to come to the club? I'll put you on my guest list. Really? I was like, so I'm.
It's prestigious.
Yeah, and I was like, and that goes to your head.
It does.
When you're in your 20s and the club's going good, and I started becoming my own worst enemy, because Vince was saying, and he would talk to you, he's like, I'm gonna let you get away with it, but now you have to do something for me, and now you have to go to these other clubs in Jersey. And you got to wear your Onstage jacket, which it was a cool jacket to wear at the club, but
right on.
I don't. That's.
But it was it created a rivalry.
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't believe how many times. I mean, and then he'd have Bobby go with me, so now I'm being put on a little bit. Yeah, a little bit on the spot, and a little bit I'm being used, and I don't realize it. Because it's advertisement.
Right.
But there were times I would walk into a club, and I get it, because that's like colors.
Yes.
I mean.
And even in the
I'm
adult clubs.
not going to walk into Lemoore with an Onstage jacket on. First of all, they're not going to let me.
Right.
I mean, I never attempted to do it, but it's not going to happen.
Back in the late 80s, a lot of the adult clubs in New Jersey, Keyport, Hazlitt, Sayreville, they all had jackets. So I had my club jacket. The club next to us had their club jackets.
Right,
And like you said, it was like colors.
Yeah.
And I never took it. See, because...
I took it as I got a cool jacket.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. Like, hey, this is where I'm working. Cool.
Right.
But there were a lot of DJs that had that instant rivalry, instant jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood that. I was like, because I was always like, hey, if you're into music and I'm into music, let's talk and bullshit and, trade ideas.
Right.
And I could learn from you and you could learn from me. But a lot of guys, man, when I was first starting out, they didn't want to know me.
Right.
They're like, you work at that club? Fuck you.
Right. And for now, since we're talking about it, and I only recently, because we're talking on Facebook, and he came back into the scene, I came back into the scene, because if you, and that's where it goes, kudos to you, because if you didn't ask me to be on your show, I would have went, I'm here for my nephew's wedding.
Right.
I would have went to a wedding, went back home to my little Yorkie and my dog and my life in Louisiana, and did my medical job. And now I was like, so you are the nucleus, if you will, of bringing these people together. Because if you don't get them together, they're gonna go do their and that, I was like, and that's,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's where someone with the age of technology, where we can click, as long as you have the link, you could click on it, and it's like, oh, let me go see what Tony Gunn's talking about. I was like, wow, I never knew that.
Right.
And it's like, because there's only, it's like, you're finding about stuff that no one talked about, or it's like, or Tony might say, hey, I got a funny story for you, and this happened, and
right. I got a funny little story. Our mutual friend Kevin Mack, rest in peace.
Yeah.
It was him, myself, Donnie Tranchina, and Frankie Italiano playing bass in an early version of Deceiver.
Really?
Yes.
See, I never knew that.
I sang for Deceiver. Donnie was playing a flying V guitar. Him and Kevin were playing guitar, and Frankie on bass.
I never knew Don Tranchina knew how to play guitar.
Yeah. He was actually a pretty badass guitar player.
See, this is just...
and we were kids. And
right.
Again, Kevin passed away so long ago, but I know Kevin from high school. That's how long ago I knew him. So I graduated high school in '83.
So you went to Wagner?
No. I went to night school, and that's where I met him.
I
I went to night school at Newdorp. I was a terrible student during the daytime. Mm-hmm. So they punished me by sending me to night school. Right. What happened at night school at Newdorp is I met all my friends. Mm-hmm. Because all these guys from Susan Wagner, Port Richmond, Newdorp, that were into metal, I got to meet.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing them at the clubs.
Yeah.
So now we're like, hey, what's going on? Like,
and Chuck said that in his show, that's what brought us together.
Yeah.
I don't know you, but
you like Saxon, you like Motorhead, right. you like, and I like, and I like, and
you like this.
Yeah.
Like, wow. No, so I'm not this one-off anymore.
Right.
That I'm listening to this in my room. It's like, there's this guy in on the South Shore that likes it. It's like, I'm gonna be best friends with him now, because
Kevin turned me on to Motley Crue. First time I heard Motley Crue, I was with Kevin.
Really? Okay.
And we were, in fact, I remember that day. We had a little boom box, and we went to the beach. And we were just listening to Motley Crue on a boom box at the beach, and that was because he was like, you got to hear these guys. Turned on Livewire, sold immediately.
Yeah.
Love these guys. Love these guys.
Yeah. That's I don't know. Oh, I do remember there was a girl at a lady, and it was funny because she used to let me and a couple of my friends hang out at her house. As I got older, she had the Angel album on. She turned me on to Angel. But lo and behold, she had a thing for little boys, which I never knew, and I kind of figured it out.
Right on.
She never did anything with any of us, but
she
turned me on. Yeah, she enjoyed, and maybe it might have been a other thing, but she turned me on to Angel, and that hooked me.
Right on.
I was like, because Angel was more of a 70s band.
They were.
I was born in 1962.
Okay.
So
I'm 65.
So I was. We were about maybe 12, 13.
So Circus Magazine.
Oh yeah.
That's where I saw them for the first time.
Right.
And I remember being the one thing that I always thought was cool was that you could turn their logo upside down and it still said Angel.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's cool.
Right.
But I never got to see them until most recently.
Oh, I seen them with Piper and
I would like to see them with
Point
Piper.
Blank.
Very
So
cool.
with Piper and Point Blank,
Was Billy Squire still playing in Piper?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So so I was like, so now I just dated myself. That
It's all good.
It's like, but yeah, they were, and that's when they put the boxes in the front, and they're and on the 5th day, this one, and Greg Jeffrey popped down.
Right
on. It's
on.
like so, but they're just and they're touring.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as you get older now we're adults. I'm friends with him via Facebook.
Right on.
And if I could get to see but a lot of bands unfortunately don't play. They play the casino scene in
Right.
Louisiana. They don't really. Louisiana is not but Louisiana. I mean, the guys in my town still got mullets. I'm like, 80s would rock and roll here.
It's funny.
But
It's funny. Well, we share that both of us lived in Louisiana. I lived there for 7 years. And what you're talking about, when I moved to Lake Charles, the first thing I thought about is that this reminds me of Staten Island back in the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a small city
Mm-hmm.
or a big town,
yeah,
depending on how you looked
I've
at
never
it.
been to Lake Charles, but
Well, it's a little bit different now. It's a lot more built up. But when I tell you that if you remember Staten Island in the 1970s, how most of it was woods and,
Mm-hmm.
that's what Lake Charles was.
Mm-hmm.
So I was walking around going, in 30 years, this is going to be like Staten Island. Sure enough, it has built itself up, and it's a lot more modern.
My town of Denham is like that now.
But when I got there, again, I was looking like how some of the women dressed. Very 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of things had stopped in the 1980s, and then they kind of skipped over, because when I moved there, it was the 2000s. So it was like that decade of the 90s, whatever fashion didn't happen in Lake Charles. It went straight from the 80s to the 2000s.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
and I was thinking, I was like, and then in my head, I'm putting it together, because you got these 70s, 80s rival bands that, like Mike Dunleavy's in, who
great.
He's,
Mike's a great guy.
He's what's that? The Rock Show
Yeah,
band.
the 70s rock show
with Howie. Hollywood Howe, another great vocalist. I mean,
I don't know Howie.
Get him. Get that band. I mean, I'm listening to, stuff when they put out their videos on stuff. Amazing. I mean, they're doing stuff like the Raspberries, Go All the Way.
It's a great song.
Yeah, perfect. And now you got Steve Brown doing.
He's got the Bon Jovi show, right?
I'm like doing Bon Jovi better than Bon Jovi. I mean,
Steve's
John.
No, but Steve's a really good musician too.
But
I mean,
yeah,
no,
but yeah.
not to take away from him.
And he's got Joe in the band that is the new drummer for Twisted.
That's
Joe
right.
Casada.
That's right.
And it's like, so he's doing. I mean, he's got Always Jovi with Steve, and then he's doing
Twisted.
He's doing Twisted. I'm like, Joe, you want all the money? What are you doing here? You want all the money? I mean,
that's cool though.
Yeah, but it's just we just kind of we move around and we morph into other things, and okay, I'll do this one, and it's like, okay, you're not in Skid Row. Well, okay, now you're gonna be in Twisted Sister.
Yeah.
You're gonna, and it's still going on. And it's like, I haven't been to a Monsters of Rock cruise yet. I
My friend
want to
Gina
go.
goes. She loves them.
I mean, I want to go, but I think it would be like, I'm just talking to you right now, and for 3 hours, I can't even imagine, 2 or 3. I can't even imagine being on. I wouldn't see any of the bands. It would just be catch. I probably know. We probably know half the ship, or know someone from. It would just. And I really do want to go, because
My friend Gina, she's been trying to get me to go for years. She loves it. She goes, I believe, just about every year, to the point where, even though she pays to go, like, she's involved with what goes on backstage too.
Oh, really?
And she helps out,
Okay.
and she loves it. Like, she loves it. She gets to be the band mom. Like, okay, these are my guys. I take care of them now.
Right. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and it's wonderful. And I'm suggesting it to you for the simple reason is that you would be the perfect person to go, because you know people, because you would you would get to reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know, because like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, like I was mentioning, you know, I know Don Tranchina since I'm like 15 years old.
Yeah.
And Donnie is a local legend out here. I mean, he's had Deceiver. He's been working hard, you know. Got to give the guy props.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's another band that should have been a band that could have made it. They had and because their songs are different.
Yeah.
But they're good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad because it's not sad. It's like we had a great time, and then you think about it, it's like, man, why don't we make it? But then you look at the other thing. It's like I know for a fact for me, because I respect my privacy so much. I would be a very bad rock star. I would be one of those psychos that I'm trying to eat a salad here, and you're going to take a picture from it of me.
Right.
Get the fuck away from me. And they'll be like, oh, then all of a sudden someone's texting, oh, yo, I'd be another Sebastian Bach.
I hear you.
Yo, it's like, yo, and it's
got
like,
that
yo,
bad reputation.
Yeah, it was like, yo, and I'll give you time, not when I'm eating. Give me, you know.
Right.
And I was like, and I know because when you sign up to do stuff like that, or I'm learning from friends, you give up a lot. Like you can't just.
You become a product and not a person.
Right.
And that's the difficulty because we are people.
Right. And then you get people that's like, well, what's the problem? I just want one picture with you. It's like you, and then.
Right, I'll never get to finish the sandwich.
Right, I'll never get to finish the sandwich. And I just came to the Staten Island Mall just to pick up a pair of jeans.
Right.
And as I'm doing that, with my ass crack hanging out, you're trying to take a picture of me while I'm trying to put on a pair of jeans.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. Alice Cooper just did that in Fort Myers, Florida. He went to the mall just to go clothes shopping, and all of a sudden online, everybody is taking pictures of Alice Cooper at the mall.
Right.
You know, and he probably figured nobody's going to know me here.
Right.
You know?
Right, yeah.
Next thing you know, all over the paper.
It's funny, and it's not really a rock and roll thing, but I have a lot of friends that are from New Hope, Pennsylvania, that work up there, and that's a very
beautiful
eclectic,
place.
a very eclectic town. You got your bikers and your gay community and all that. And he works at a place called Mother's, or used to work at Mother's, and he said Barbra Streisand and James Brolin would go there all the time because she wouldn't get noticed.
Right on.
Like, because she's just walking around with sunglasses on. Some people would notice her, but a lot of people...
They left her alone.
And, yeah, where you can go, and I'm like, really?
Be a person.
Right. And, yeah, it's just weird because you become a product. And people don't realize that's all of, like, I thought with Onstage, I'm like, wow, I got to be responsible. There's rules to this. This is... Yeah. I don't know if I like this, but now I'm in it.
They expect me to work.
Right. And I remember at one point that I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this. And Vince told me, no. People know, because like I won't, and then became and Bobby Johnson gave me the name that, and I don't know if he said it as a joke, but it stuck. It was like, oh, you're gonna be Chuck Stavro Lamore. You're gonna be the Rage of Onstage.
That's awesome.
And I was like, okay. But now I'm attached to that club,
right?
Where, it's like trying to divorce someone and say, no, you're not. You're not leaving.
It's like being typecast as an actor,
right? You're not. What do you mean? No, you're.
Yeah, you become like the mascot, like part of the business.
Right. And you'll be here, and it wasn't threatening, but it's like no. I put money into you. You're not walking away.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, I didn't realize it. This is like a real job. Yeah, and you don't, and then I had to start taking it seriously, and and then like I said, as grunge, I'm assuming grunge came in because, like I said, there was no
the scene
there was
changed
no,
in the 90s.
Hey, this is the last night of on stage, and no cake came out, this outlet, and no hugs.
Right.
And oh man, we'll see you, and let's keep in touch. Like when you go to a wedding or a funeral, and we'll keep in touch. And it was just like, yeah, we're done. What? So I don't have a job now. Like, what do I do for? Because that was the other thing too, that you make all these friends. I got a decent amount of money for working 2 days, and I had my other little piddly jobs. But then all my friends worked at all these other clubs, so I go there, and we didn't go there and drank for free, but you can go there and hang out. So I was at the Red Spot and Wave Street and all. So it was like a party throughout the week. I mean, I think maybe Rob from Lus and Danny had day jobs. Everybody else, slept in and yeah. Now all of a sudden, man, what do I do on a Friday or Saturday night? I'm not gonna be like them on the floor. I'm not gonna be a customer.
Yo, you just hit a nerve. That is what happened with me when I retired from the strip clubs. My girlfriend still works there, and the truth of the matter is, I have no desire to be in the club as a customer.
Right.
Right. And it's not that there's anything wrong with being a customer at a club, whether it's an adult club or a regular nightclub, but once you're on the inside, it's different.
Oh yeah, and kind of full circle or adding on to that, what blew me away is when I walked in a club, I'm not going to mention, where I was all friends with all the owners, that, and they asked me for a cover charge.
Wow.
And I said, but I'm Mike Gope from...
That's nice.
I'm Mike Gope from nowhere.
Gope.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't give a shit who you are. It's $10 to get in.
Right.
I was like, because it was different when I would walk in. I'd walk in with, 10 people that all happen to be drunks, and they're like, okay, yeah, let them in for free because
they're going to spend the money at the bar.
They're going to spend the money at the bar. I'd rather have them here because first of all, that's the other thing too, and Vince taught me that really well. Nobody wants to walk into an empty club.
Right.
Because no one wants to be the first people. They want to walk into the party. They want to be and then walk into the party and it be popping. And then as soon as they get in, the head is going. And it's like, yeah, this is where we want to be. And that's his big thing. I want, when this club opens up, I want it to be where everybody wants to be.
That's awesome.
And he'd make it work, or I'd get the look. If I got the look 4 times in one night, I'm like, yeah. Because he would also grade my pay on it.
Really?
But, oh, yeah.
Wow.
They didn't do too good tonight.
Wow.
I was like, okay, well.
That's hard to make plans.
Right. I was like, yeah, but I'm
here, I'm doing the work.
I need tires on my car. I was like, should have did better.
And that's such that is such an abstract to do better. I'm doing my best no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I'm already doing my best. What do you mean do better? Like, what is it that I can do better? And it brings, do you ever see the movie Amadeus?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a scene where Mozart is talking to the king, and the king says there's just too many notes. Just cut a few notes, and it'll make the music better. And Amadeus says, or Mozart says, which notes would you like me to cut?
Right.
And the king can't answer that because he's talking out of his ass. And that's such an abstract thing. You could have done better. What does that mean?
Right.
How?
So
Tell me how.
It was my fault that people didn't come.
You're penalizing me, but not giving me instructions how to succeed.
Right. Or is it Memorial Day weekend? Everybody's down the Jersey Shore, and at the same time, L'Amour's has.
Right, because that's not your fucking problem. That's not your fault.
Right, and then am I? Right.
Yeah, no, I get it, bro. Because we worked on tips, and we got a small salary in the beginning, but mostly we made our money on tips. And if a girl didn't tip you, well, that meant a lot. Like, I've been working with you all night, and that's how you do me. And if you can't figure out, like you said, I need new tires. If I can't plan on being able to pay my bills, that really, I think that's one of the reasons why I never truly only worked at like one club specifically. Like I always had like a backup club somewhere, like even if it was one night a week, because I would run into that problem that with some of the girls that if they didn't like the music I was playing, like I said, once I got into Jersey, right,
or the manager,
right, and I could understand the girls saying I didn't like what you played because they have to perform to what I'm doing,
right.
But when you have just a general atmosphere where people, like you said, things could be going on around town that have nothing to do with you, and your performance is based on that. That's tough.
Yeah,
that's real tough.
It's that's exactly, and and this is all stuff that's coming out now that, and I didn't mind it because
you put up with it because you're happy to be there, right?
Happy to be there, and then next week would have been a really good night. But then when he did really good nights, I noticed I wasn't getting
extra?
I mean, like we did a fashion show. Rob did a really good. He planned it out really well with Lust. They didn't play for like a whole summer.
Wow.
And they came out with like a whole new stage show. Made costumes a whole bit, and they came and practiced, and and really honed in their thing. Demo tapes, worked on demo tapes and a whole bit, and we did a fashion show with Kiss Kiss, and Mary did a whole big production. Well, long story short, there had to be 2,000 people there, if not more. And there was some serious cash flowing out, and I was promoting it like crazy. That was the other thing. I wasn't getting paid for promotion, and I was promoting the shit out of this place. And Vince is making a ton of money. I could see the beer bottles
right
getting restacked and empties going. I mean,
Busboy is working hard.
Everybody was making money, and it didn't come my way. And I'm like, okay, now it's like I
would take that a little personal.
Right. So, and that's the same thing where you're underpaid, and then, it's okay. So where do I come in? And then he had this thing. Well, the booking agent. So I'm like, so you mean to tell me you're giving the booking agent my share of the money with my friend's band? That's basically my band.
Right.
Not my band, but it's like, we, and it was like, so it's like there was a lot of, there's a lot of thorns, to the rose, but, and same thing, like Chuck, like all of us, we kind of shake it off, and back there on Friday because, I'm working 2 days a week, and right. So you're making it. It was like a velvet rope. Like,
I hear you.
You couldn't leave, but you couldn't stay.
It's like a honey trap.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it.
It's a velvet noose, whatever you want to call it. But it was like, okay, can't leave, because and then the same thing too. I started to build up. Chuck got to a point where he was done. I was at the point where I'm not leaving because I built this.
Right.
I am Mike Gope. You're not taking my spot. You're not walking into a nice warm car.
Right.
In the winter time, it was like, I warmed up this. It was like, but so it was, and I'm not here to complain about it. I just didn't, and we're talking, two friends. We're talking about great music, great bands that shoulda, woulda, coulda, and then you're talking about the aspect because people thought it's like, I had no and when I click on I had no idea Don Trenchina played guitar and was was the original guitar player or whatever, and So and that's what you find out is like people are like, oh, I didn't know. It's like I didn't know. Yeah, it's like I didn't know that there wasn't certain things that you couldn't say during. Yeah, I couldn't be myself dropping f-bombs and this one goes out to and.
Goes out to your mama.
Right. It's like but yeah, like all that stuff and being there and same thing and I was there in the beginning, like I was there with not I don't know, keep saying like that's a terrible thing. I'm like a kid. When the first version of Skid Row came in.
Right on.
The original lead singer, I believe his name was John or Matt John or John Matt or something.
That might have been
like
that kid Matt Fallon that we were talking about.
Well, it might have been him, because he was a good singer. He wasn't Sebastian Bach.
No.
And they were a good band. They're like, Polygram's got to look into this band, this and that, and the whole bit. And I remember them. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, because I became friends with these guys there, and all very nice guys, all very respectful. And then all of a sudden, opening up the club, Skid Row walks in, and no Matt, no John, well, Matt, whatever, or what, I don't know, but it was this other guy, 7 feet tall. I'm only 5'5".
And not for nothing, but that guy Sebastian, when he was young, he was beautiful.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
walks in. But rock star material,
yeah,
where all the guys, came in. So I came in and I could, like, he knew he was a rock star.
He was born
and
to.
I remember they did the song. I think it's the song when I know the chorus is when the clock strikes midnight.
Oh yeah, that's the name of the song.
So is that midnight?
Yeah.
They did that as a sound check, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, this band is. And I believe that night, or it might have been the second time they played with Sebastian, I don't know, and I heard through the grapevine, because I'm stuck up in my cuckoo's nest up there, and I heard that Doc McGee walked in, seen them do 2 songs live, and it was a done deal. I don't know if that was fact.
Right on.
But either way, someone signed them.
Yeah.
It was like, so, and I knew they were going places. So, but it's sad that they go, but that'll never be. So.
Well, funny story about my introduction to Skid Row. They had already put out their first album. One of the dancers that I worked with was dating one of the guitar players.
Oh, really?
She comes with this album under her arm, saying, "You got to play in my boyfriend's band." Now me being a little bit of a dickhead, I'm going, okay, your boyfriend's band, how good could they be? I played Youth Gone Wild, lost my mind. I was holy cow, these guys are good.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the album just got better and better and better. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? My attitude sucked, and I have to apologize for that. This is a great album.
Wow, that's something. So that's
because she made me play like 3 songs off the album, and I was just like, each one was great.
Like, this is
I was like, and then her boyfriend would come in once in a while and hang out, wait for her, and that was kind of cool,
Remember Roberta?
Yes, I do.
She was in a band. I know she was in Brat. Was she in
Brat?
Misdemeanor too?
Kathy was a singer in Misdemeanor. But I think possibly Roberta might have replaced her, because I don't remember what happened.
With Jeanette.
Right,
well,
Jeanette
anyway,
and Linda. I remember they all played together.
I do believe it was Roberta, and when I still could have people up in the DJ booth and talking about how you don't know who you meet or who they are, and she walks up there and this is my friend, little guy about my size, a lot of hair. This is my friend Tony. And Tony gives me his demo tape. Hey, if you could play this and this. Well, long story short, this is the 10,000 Lovers CD. He was the lead singer for TNT.
No kidding.
Tony Harnell.
And
I had no idea.
They had that song Harley Davidson, right?
Harley Davidson because I believe they're a Swedish band.
Right.
So they had Harley Davidson, and then I don't know if he's from Jersey or Connecticut or L.A. He's an American guy, but he's the one that came out with with the well, he was the lead singer on the album with 10,000 Lover.
Okay.
And, you know, and it was another demo tape I wish I had, but you know, it was like, so it was just weird. You don't know who you run to when you run into them or where they're gonna be, and you know, it was just a story that popped into my head of not name dropping, just you know,
cool coincidences.
right. And now I'm seeing that they're back doing stuff, you know. So
yeah, that's cool.
It's just weird, just a small rock and roll world that you're trying to bring together.
Well, and I do have another question for you. Now, what kind of music are you listening to in your private? Like, because I know it's going to sound stupid. I have music that I like to drive to, and then I like to, you know, but when I want to like totally chill out, I listen to Hawaiian music.
Okay.
I don't understand a word they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the beautiful melodies, and the harmonies are beautiful. So to me, I don't need to know what they're saying. You know, it's just I love the sound. And Zydeco music.
Okay.
I love Zydeco music, man.
Okay.
I mean, my time in Louisiana definitely left a big impression on me.
Okay.
And I have a soft spot for that coon-ass music, man.
Okay.
It's fun.
The music I'm listening to now, I'm really into Breaking Benjamin.
Cool.
And I just like I'm listening. I'm not, besides the music, I'm liking the words of it.
Right on.
But a lot of people tell me, oh, they're really dark, and it's weird. And a band that when they first came out, I don't want to say hate. I didn't like them, and I was never and. Frank Italiano and Don Trentino would come up, oh, dude, you got to play this, and the band's Metallica.
Right on.
And I'm listening to, I didn't realize how well of a songwriter they are.
They matured a lot, too.
I don't know if it's or who does the main writing for the band, but so I've been listening to them, and then but yeah, that, and another band that he kind of went to the wayside, and I met him, and I thought he was a real cool chap, Daughtry.
Oh yeah, Chris Daughtry, I like him too.
And I've been listening to him, and I was like, man, and I'm listening to a lot of these guys redoing songs like Breaking Benjamin. I just found a copy of them redoing a Goo Goo Dolls song,
like them guys.
Iris.
Cool song.
So yeah, and it's
okay.
You know,
well, now I got a question for you, because one of the new bands in the same genre and era is Shinedown.
Oh, Shinedown's
dude,
amazing.
what a great band,
Right.
man! Like when people tell me rock and roll is dead, I don't believe them.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Shinedown's
it's
a
not
great
what it
one.
used to be. You know, I'll give you that. It's
Right.
not the powerhouse, world-dominating powerhouse that it used to be. But there are still really good rock and roll
Right.
bands out there,
Right.
man.
There's and now I can add on to that. There's a band called Alter Bridge.
Yes,
That's
Miles
amazing.
Kennedy.
Right. And I like them. Skillet. So I think
Right on.
And it's weird because I'm liking these bands, and maybe it's, you know, I'm a man of you know, I'm a big believer of God. I'm finding out these bands that I'm liking or that I'm getting attracted to are Christian bands.
Oh, cool.
Like, I didn't know Skillet was a Christian band.
I didn't know that
I
either.
didn't know Creed was a Christian band.
That I knew.
You know, and then I'm thinking, and they're like, yeah, listen, look at the name. And I'm like, wow, okay. I'm one of those, you know, I'm one of those stupid guys. Like, I didn't, you know, that it's terrible to say. I didn't know that Freddie Mercury was gay. And then I'm looking at him like, well, the band's name is Queen. And
Right.
And he was
very
you know,
flamboyant.
But he was flamboyant. But then you can say is like, you don't want to have that stereotypical of it. But it's like, but you know, people do send out their messages, like, you know, because then you could go the other aspect. It's like, well, look at Judas Priest.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
there's
listen, not for nothing, but Rob never really hit it, and he was always respected. I think with who you just mentioned, Queen, with Freddie Mercury, I think the time that as musicians, I mean, because we can go back to, like, let's say Liberace,
Oh, yeah,
who was obviously gay, but his fans were never told. So
Right.
these old ladies would be like, "No, he's not. He's just flamboyant."
Right.
Okay, well, great, but still, like Elton John didn't come out for a long time.
Yeah, because it probably
because
would.
it would have
yeah.
hurt. It would have hurt the record sales, and I get
Right.
that. But the truth is, I'm glad that they did come out. I'm glad that Rob Halford is who he is, because to me, he's one of the best freaking singers I've ever seen live. He's
And
my
he's still
idol.
doing it.
You know,
If
and
I'm
sexuality
60
has so nothing to do with it, man. He's
Right.
just a badass
Right.
motherfucker, like Freddie Mercury was,
Right.
like Elton John is.
Right.
Like
And
all these guys
if
were.
you could break down the barrier, you without doing it in someone's face, and you're like, oh yeah, well I don't give a fuck. I still like them.
Right.
I was like, well, okay, well, should be no reason you didn't like him, because
Right.
if that has nothing to do with his vocal ability. His personal life has nothing to do with his vocal ability.
And to me, I think that just adds to the stage show.
Right.
Because and I'll even use Liberace because he was kind of ahead of his time. He was ultra flamboyant.
Right.
I mean, he was Elton John before there was an Elton John,
Right. Right.
And his suits were outrageous, but it was part of the show.
Right.
Because that could have been David Lee Roth on the
Right.
piano.
Right.
Wearing those, or
Right.
again, Elton John wore some crazy outfits.
Right.
That was part of the show. I enjoyed that.
Right.
I enjoyed seeing, that's a pretty cool Elvis. I mean, come on, Elvis had some great outfits
Right,
too.
right.
That was part of the show, and that to me, as far as sexuality in music, it never was an issue for me.
Right. And then you could flip the script and go, look at Twisted. There's not a gay person in that band.
Right, and they wore makeup longer than my
Right.
mom.
Right. But I was like, yeah, it's like Joe, and that's what I mean by breaking down the barriers.
Right on.
Yeah, it's like, yo.
And again,
it's
with
like,
Twisted, their look was more drag queen, because Dee's makeup is not meant to make him look
No.
like David Johansen in the
Right.
New York Dolls, where they
Right.
looked kind of
Mhm.
Dee Snider, Twisted, they were not trying to be sexy. They were
Right.
just making a statement.
Right.
And I always thought of it kind of like
I mean,
Rocky
Mark
Horror.
yeah.
Like Tim
exactly.
Curry's makeup
Right.
kind of inspired the Twisted Sister makeup to me.
Right.
Because I see the
Yeah,
similarities.
with
Very
the
bold.
very arched eyebrows,
You know?
and yeah.
And to me, that's part of the theatrics.
Right.
I love that
Right.
shit.
Right, me too, and that's the one thing when I go see shows, and I haven't seen shows in a million years because I just can't deal with the crowd. I got old. I don't want to say I got old,
We all get old.
but I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to sit in a parking lot for an hour and a half trying to get out of the Meadowlands Theater, if they even call it the Meadow. I don't even know.
I
what
know,
the hell they
right?
call it
Used to be the
anymore.
Brendan Byrne.
But I just don't want to deal with it, or halfway through the show I'm like, yeah, we got to get out of here before the encore, man.
Right,
so
right.
It's like, yo, but it's and I don't even know. I forget where I was even going with this. This is gonna be an edit, but it was like, yo, but yeah, and that's just the whole thing. And like I said, I really just lost track of where I was going
Well,
with this.
we're
but-
talking about the new bands, and
Oh.
people being flamboyant.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in their personal lives or just for show.
Right.
But what I wanted to also ask you is where are you finding music? Because there's no record stores when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
How many hours?
Oh,
Our
yeah.
music on
Oh.
in New York? Did you go there? I mean, because I know
yeah,
I went there a
went
million
to Our
times.
Music
Yeah, man.
right, and since I grew up in West Brighton, my record store was it
Was
was
it
on
Majors?
Forest on Forest Avenue. God, I can't even think of it. By OTB.
I know where you're talking about.
Was it Forest Records? It might have been.
I don't remember.
But yeah, it's like, yo, but yeah, and then when I worked at the Staten Island Mall, I worked at the camera shop there.
Right on.
And it was funny because Joe Coletta worked at the
Remember
record
Joe?
store. Yeah, it was like he was in Lust
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's in California.
Yes, he is.
And he would let me know if any new stuff came in.
That's
or,
cool.
You know, and so I would go there, but that I'm fine. My stuff I'm fine online, and I'm an iPhone guy, even though I hate the iPhone. But it's at
It's
that.
okay.
It's at my doorstep.
Right on.
Where I'm going through pre-order stuff. So I'm looking through pre-order, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, look at this. Freddie Mercury's coming out with a new album, or this,
Right.
or it's like, or his production crew is
Right.
putting together an album, and that's what I do, and I'll pre-order it, and then I forget I pre-order it, and then it pops up on the first song. It's like, oh look,
That's
I
cool.
got a brand new. But yeah, that's it, and you listen to it. It just makes it very convenient for me, and it takes away because when I was buying music, I had to get on 2 buses to go to Staten Island Mall.
Wow.
But I was getting on that bus. And
Same as me.
I was like, I was getting on that bus. I'm getting that record. I remember, I knew, and I think it's Forest Records, or I forget what it's called, but I remember the double album to get the Kiss. It might have been like $10.88.
Well, Kiss Alive?
Yeah, Kiss Alive.
Such a great record.
And I literally had enough money to take the bus down there,
Get out.
but not enough money
To get home?
Not enough money to. So I had to walk back from, which isn't because I lived Forest and Broadway, but
Right.
it was probably 2 miles, and I had the 1088, and I literally bought the record. Held on to it. Wouldn't even let the guy put it in a bag.
No
He
way.
gave me the bag. He's like, you gotta put it in a bag if you're leaving the store. And it was $10 bill, 3/4, a dime,
And change?
and it was $10.88.
Wow.
And I played the shit out of that.
One of my
record.
favorites.
It's, I mean,
To this day.
that just, yeah.
See, with me, and again, we're working in the adult industry, my source was the girls. Because they would all the time come up with new music, and a lot of it I did hate. I mean, I'll be honest with you. And before I sound like the crotchety old man, look, here's the truth. That music is not written for me. It's written for the next generation of kids, and I don't have any problem with that. Because the truth of the matter is, I have found some amazing songs from this generations of music. Like songs that, like Chuck and I were talking about, how did I live before I heard this song?
Right.
Because I've had girls play this song, and I'm just, where I've never heard this. Like, and I've been a DJ for a long time. Like,
Right.
you get a little cocky. Oh, I'm a DJ. I know everything. No, I don't. And it was always refreshing when a girl would say, hey, play this song.
Right.
And I would play it, and I'd be like, wow, is there more like this? I used to
Right.
love the girls that brought their own records.
I got another thing. My granddaughter, Olivia, turned me on to Ghost.
Oh, right on. They're great.
Yeah, and I'm like, she's like, I'm like, who's this? She goes, Ghost, and I'm here, and what's that? Square Hammer? I don't know the names of it, or yeah, it's like, but anyway, and I'm like, this band's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, at the time she might have been 14 or 15.
Right on.
She just graduated high school now. Congrats to Olivia.
Right
and
on.
Shout out to her. But she turned me on to that, and I'm like, and I was happy for one that. All right, she's liking metal. I don't even know what they classified as. Metal
Right.
But they're an amazing band, and I was like,
She's listening to good music.
she's listening to some good shit.
That's cool.
And then she'll turn around because I'm the cool grandfather because I play drums.
Right on.
I was like, so, and then I just came across, and we have a new grandson now, and he's gonna be little, but I'm gonna teach him how to play drums before I get out of here. He'll get Now that's the other thing, since we're getting older. I want to say, because we look pretty damn good for our age.
Yo, not for nothing.
So anyway, but
listen, I remember what 60 looked like when I was a kid. It don't look like this, that's for sure.
Oh no. And I'm at work, and I work with kids on even patients and stuff, and I'm like, God, man, dude, you gotta get some moisturizer or something, because you ain't gonna make it, man.
Yeah.
The skin's not gonna make it. But I don't know. I'm just, maybe it's good genes, or
It is.
we didn't care, or I don't know, because I'm not the greatest eater. I mean, you know, I'll be at Hooters with you eating buffalo wings and something, but maybe it's we really lived a carefree lifestyle.
Yeah.
But we got shit done.
Yeah.
I don't.
Just a different
I
world.
don't know. Maybe life is more. I don't know. Is life more complicated now, or involved, or?
I'll tell you my take on it. I think when we were kids, we didn't have 24-hour news, so nothing was blasted in your face 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You got the news,
Yeah.
unless they broke into the daily program with a special report.
Right.
Man on the moon.
Right.
But I think when
it was like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, 5, 7, 11, and that was it.
Right.
You had to wait till the next day, you know?
Right.
And, of course, they had the Star Spangled Banner at midnight when they show off the stations.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is that it's an information overload. So it has made life a little more complicated because you got to filter out a lot of BS that we didn't have to filter out as kids, you know? A lot of things in the world have changed. I know a lot of people say, well, kids don't go out and play as much anymore, which is true. But there's dangers that the kids are facing outside that we didn't, you know, we didn't come home until whenever.
Right.
You know, if we weren't hungry, we didn't come home for dinner.
When I was younger, it was when the street lights were on, you better be in.
So
but
it is a different world. But I also look at it as like the kids that were born after cable television will never know what a black and white TV with 3 channels is all about.
Right.
You know, so it's just a different experience. They'll be fine. It's going to be us that have to adjust.
Yeah, yeah, and it is. I'm
you know,
starting to,
but
and that was the other thing too. When you were saying about that, and I'm kind of going off the track, but I remember growing up, my mother listening to her and my dad's music, saying, "Oh man, this is terrible," and then, and now I'm thinking, what are the kids thinking about me rocking down in my Escalade driving, and I'm cranking out Ozzy and
they're
I'm
saying
like,
the same thing.
That music's terrible
because it's not music for them.
Right.
Just like their music's not for us.
Right. But then I'm thinking, it's like, well, I'm not gonna be listening to this music when I'm 60. Well, I'm 60.
Right.
And I'm listening to
same shit.
Yeah, I'm down there. It's a good day and it's not too hot, and I got the windows open, and Sirius XM, and you know Eddie Trump says, or whoever, you know, Keith Roth says,
little Scorpions.
I mean, even though I have it in my phone,
right on.
When a White Line song comes, I gotta
turn it up.
And wait, and I was like, and now I'm 64. I don't give a shit who.
Right.
You don't like the way I'm singing? Turn your head.
Right, close your windows.
Turn your head. The light's gonna change in a couple of minutes. Don't worry about it.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you so much for coming, man.
Yeah,
bro, it's been a fucking great time having you here, man. Thank you so much.
I haven't laughed this hard in a long time.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this stroll down memory lane.
Yeah.
And again, thank you. I mean, from one DJ to another, because listen, it's guys like you that inspired me to become a DJ.
Oh, thank you. That's
you know, and that's not any bullshit. Seriously, because I've thought about like who my influences were, and you know, like I said, D. Snyder. I stole my mic skills straight from Chuck. Stole them. I won't ever deny that. You know, me on stage, that was me pretending to be D. Snyder. You know, that was where my energy came from. I saw him and I said I want to be like him. You know, and it's kind of nice that. Again, when I was first starting, a lot of DJs had animosity towards each other. I love the fact that we could sit down like we did and talk about what it was like to spin. You know, I mean, you were on turntables back in the day. There was no MP3s. Like, you know,
I probably wouldn't even know how to spin an MP3.
You know, and again, just physically having to carry those crates, like that's a different world. That doesn't exist anymore. Now everybody comes in with a little knapsack and a laptop, and I'm guilty. I get it. But Mike, thank you so much. I really do appreciate this.
Talking about with the MP3s, and I'll just go one more time, and I'm going to get out of here. Coming here, I had to rent a car. There's so many buttons in this this brand new rental car. I'm like, what? Why do we need all this shit? A simple. I need hot, cold, and a radio.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me,
Mike.
All right.
Really appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. While you're at it, leave a comment below. See you soon.